All right, welcome back. We are on ACT Prep Unit 3 Subtest, which is over the elementary algebra topics. This is 10 problems. All right, hit pause, try this one, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got one. Okay, you can type it in the graphing calculator. I don't recommend it. I mean, you got to use all these parentheses, and like if you're going to type this in, you would have to type parentheses, a negative, -4, and then you'd have to do plus, and then you'd have to do the minus second, but then you'd have the square root. You'd have to put the -4 in parentheses, or that's going to screw up the sign. -4, then you need another parentheses around A and another parentheses around C, and then close those parentheses for the top. Then you would hit divided by and parentheses around 2, you don't need parentheses around that, times A, which is 2, and that's what it would need to look like if you typed it. Okay, and like I said, by the time you type it, sometimes it's easier just to do it by hand. X will equal -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. I set it up like that, and then I plug in my a, b's, and c's. B is -4, so there's a b, there's a b, and your a is 2. There's an a there and an a there, and your c is 2, so 2 goes there. And then what I do, so that I don't screw up this sign, is I do that would be +4, plus or minus, that would be 4. And then I do what's underneath first and square root later, because I don't like screwing up these signs. -4 times itself is a +16. Minus 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. So that's going to be 4 plus or minus the square root of 0 divided by 4. So you either have 4 plus 0 divided by 4, or you have 4 minus 0 divided by 4. Either case, that's 4 divided by 4, which is 1. That's 4 divided by 4, which is 1. Okay, so this one's just going to have, it's going to be tangent to the x-axis. Okay, try this one, hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got F. Okay, this is division of polynomials. I can do synthetic because A is 1 and the coefficient is 1. So I'd put -2 in the whole. Remember, you change the sign. And then you put the coefficients. So I have 1x cubed plus 4x squared plus 9x plus 10. And you draw the line. Okay, this was our zombie apocalypse. So 1 comes out, goes to the store, multiplies, brings back -2. +4 eats -2 and comes out +2, who goes to the store and multiplies by -2 and brings back -4. +9 eats -4, which comes out +5, that goes to the store, multiplies by -2, would be -10. +10 eats -10 and comes out with a remainder of 0. Now, your exponents, this was x cubed, so my answer is going to be x squared plus 2x plus 5. And there's my solution. Okay, try this one. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got -3 and 2. They want us to solve this quadratic equation. I always look for a GCF first, because if I can make A1, that's the easiest type of polynomial to factor. Okay, so if I can GCF by A, that's good. And I can. 2 goes into all of them, so I can pull out a 2. GCF by 2. To get what's left, you divide by the 2. Excuse me. 2x squared divided by 2 would be x squared. +2x divided by 2 would be +x. -12 divided by 2 would be -6 equals 0. So then I can factor this. It should be an easy factor now because a is 1. So x times x is x squared. Factors of 6 that make 1 would be 2 and 3. Since C is negative, my signs have to be different, and bully will always take the middle, which means 2 has to be the opposite. Okay, bring down your 2, that's still a factor, equals 0. So once you factored, then you set each factor to 0 and solve. So this factor equals 0, that's just silly, there's no x in it, so there's not a possible solution in there. That's just a multiplier. So x minus 2 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. To solve this, add 2, I get x equals 2, minus 3, x equals negative 3. Those are my solutions. Okay? Or you could do it on the calculator. You could type in the equation, get the graph, and calculate your zeros. And there's your negative 3 and your 2. Okay? Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got, I think that's H. Alright, so let's look. It says, which of the following is in simplest form? So the first thing I do is parentheses. I got to distribute that x. So I have x times 2x would be positive 2x squared. When you have x over 1 times negative 3 over x, that's going to be negative 3x over x, because straight across the top, straight across the bottom, and the x's cancel, so that just gives me minus 3. And then you bring down the other 3x squared, positive 7 here, and then we're down to combining like terms. So I have 3x squared and 2x squared, which makes 5x squared. I have a negative 3 and a positive 7, which makes positive 4. So it is H. Okay? Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got C. Okay, they want us to add these two polynomials. So I have x cubed y plus 2y squared x plus 3x. When I add, the sign's not going to change. So that's going to be plus 3y squared x minus 4x cubed y minus 2x. And I should have used a different color, sorry. So now we're just combining like terms. I need another x cubed y, which I have one there, so 1 minus 4 would be negative 3 x cubed y's. I have a y squared x, and there's a y squared x, so 2 plus 3 is positive 5 y squared x's. Next, I see I have an x to the first and another x to the first, so 3 minus 2 is positive 1x. And there's my sum. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 243. Alright, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You could type it in the calculator. Or you could simplify this, okay? I have 3 to the 4th divided by 1 over the 4th root of 81. If I break down 81, by 3 is 27, by 3 is 9, by 3 is 3. So I can rewrite the 4th root of 81 as the 4th root of 3 to the 4th, which cancels and gives me 3. So I have 3 to the 4th divided by 1 over 3. Okay, that's going to be 3 to the 4th, keep, change to times, and flip this, that's going to be 3 over 1. So now I have 3 to the 4th times 3 to the 1st, which is 3 to the 5th, which is 243. Okay? Or, type it in the calculator. 3 caret 4 divided by, but you got to put this in parentheses, otherwise it'll just divide by 1, and then divide that by the 4th root of 81. And to get that on the calculator, you type 4, and then you hit your math key, and you want to select choice 5, because that's got the x with the radical, and you're telling it to make the index 4. So if you do 4 math 5, and then type 81, it'll give you the right answer. Okay, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 0. So the product of the solutions of the equations. Well, if they want me to multiply the answers. So I've got to get the answers. And whenever you factor, the first step is to always look for a GCF. And they all have an x. So I can pull an x. To get what's left, I divide by x. And that's going to leave me x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. And now I can factor this, which should be an easy factor because a is 1. So x times x is x squared. Factors of 5 that make 6 would be 1 and 5. C is positive, so they both get the middle sign, which is negative. And I bring down my other factor of x and my equals 0. And then to find my solutions, I set my factors equal to 0. So I have x equals 0 is 1. I have x minus 1 equals 0, which means x equals 1. And I have x minus 5 equals 0, which means x is 5. So now to take the product of all of those, I take 0 times 1 times 5, and 0 times anything is 0. Now, to save some time, if you really do have a question like this on the ACT, when you're taking a product, and as soon as we factored out an x, that's going to be a factor, which is going to give me a factor of 0, which means it's going to cross the x-axis at 0. Well, when you're taking a product with 0 in it, it doesn't matter what the other two are. It's going to be 0. Sorry, I got to read those. Okay, and I could just type it in and get the zeros that way. I type the original function in, x cubed minus 6x squared plus 5. It's a cubic function, so it's got the 3 zeros. And when you calculate it, there's 0, there's 1, and there's 5, and the product of those is going to be 0. Okay, try this one. Hit pause, come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got H. Okay, I can't GCF by anything. Okay, I don't see, there's nothing in common, so I got to do the A times C. So I do 6 times 63, which gives me 378. A times C, now we need to find all the factors. And I literally just start dividing. 378 divided by 2 is 189. So 2 and 189 are factors, but I cannot make 13 out of that. I divide by 3 and I get 126. So 3 and 126 are factors, but I can't get 13 out of it. I divide by 4 is a decimal, so 4 is not a factor. 5 is a decimal, not a factor. 6 and 63, but I can't make 13 out of it. 7 and 54, but I can't make 13 out of it. 9 and 42, but I can't make 13 out of that. 10 is a decimal, so 10 is not a factor. 11 is a decimal, not a factor. 12 is a decimal, not a factor. 13 is a decimal, not a factor. 14 and 27, and I can make 13 out of that. Okay, so just use your calculator to break down, find all the factors of 378, and keep going until you find a pair that make the middle. So I'm going to rewrite 13x with 14x and 27x. Now I'm going to have to subtract. C tells me that these signs have to be different. Well, bully is going to take the middle, which means he's going to be the opposite. Okay, so then I bring down my first and my last. And now I'm at 4 terms, which means I can go 2 by 2. Remember our song. A times C, find all the factors, rewrite B. Then we're at 2 by 2, GCF, GCF, GCF again. Woo! Okay, so on this side, my GCF, 6 is the smallest number, but it does not go into both, so go smaller than 6. 5, no. 4, no. 3, no. 2, yes. So 2 is the biggest number. He has 2 copies of x and 1 copy of x, so the greatest that they have in common is 1 copy of x. To get what's left, I divide by 2x. 6x squared divided by 2x would be 3x. Negative 14x divided by positive 2x would be negative 7. I GCF on the other side. 27 is the smallest number, 27 does not go into both, so check smaller. 26, 25, 24. No, 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 no. I'm going to go smaller. 9? Yeah, 9 works. And I always take this guy's sign, so I'm going to take a positive 9. He has 1 copy of x. He has none, so they have none in common. My GCF is positive 9. To get what's left, I divide by positive 9. 27x divided by positive 9 is 3x. Negative 63 divided by positive 9 is negative 7. So my GCF again, at this point, you better have a matching bino, or it's prime, or you did something wrong. My GCF is 3x minus 7. To get what's left, I divide by 3x minus 7. And my second factor is my green numbers, which are 2x plus 9. And that would be its factors. Okay? The other thing, guys, in a multiple choice situation, if you really, really can't factor still, in a multiple choice situation, you can multiply these out. I don't want to do them all, but you could multiply them out and see if you get this back. So 3x times 2x would be 6x squared. That would be 27x. That would be minus 14x. And that would be minus 63. Combine like terms. 6x squared plus 13x minus 63. It checks, so I know that's the right answer. What I'm saying is, if you can't stand factoring, okay, you can always just multiply these out and see which one equals the original problem. Alright, try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got 56 miles an hour. Okay, so a car is traveling for 9,000 seconds and travels a distance of 140 miles. What is the speed of the car in miles per hour given the equation distance equals rate times time? Well, what they want to know is, basically they're giving you, I mean, you can do this if you want, but it makes it more complicated. What they're giving you is you're traveling 9,000 seconds in 140 miles. Okay? Or you're going 140 miles in 9,000 seconds. Maybe we should put that upside down. So, because we're usually miles per hour. So let's go 140 miles, but we're not in per hour, we're in per 9,000 seconds. And what they want is for me to get this into miles on top and hours on bottom. So you just do a series of conversions. Okay, I want miles, so I don't want to mess with miles. I just want to get rid of seconds. So if I want to get out of seconds, and I want to go to hours, but I can't. I got to go to minutes first. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Now we're seconds cancel, and I'm in miles per minute. But I don't want miles per minute. I want miles per hour. So we're going to do another conversion. And I don't want minutes, so I'm going to put minutes on top. And I want hours, so I'm putting hours on bottom. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And now you can see that minutes cancel, and I'm left with miles per hour. So when I type this in, I'm going to have 140 times 60 times 60 for the top. And on bottom, I'm going to have 9,000 times 1 times 1. Well, if I type that in, all right, 140 times 60 times 60 is 504000 divided by 9,000, and I get 56, and my units are now in miles per hour. Okay. Try this one. Hit pause. Come back when you're ready. And hopefully you got F. Okay, it says factor completely. And again, ACT being multiple choice, the nice thing is when it comes to factoring, there's so many different techniques. You can look at your answers and go, well, I can see all they did was pull a GCF. They didn't do anything like make this into bino, you know, whatever. This isn't a 2x2 GCF, GCF, GCF again. Otherwise, you'd end up with 2 sets of parentheses. So I can tell by the answer, the technique they want me to use is just GCF. So if I look at my numbers, 24, 6, 8, and 12, the smallest number is 6. Does that go into all of them? No, it goes into everything but 8. So it's got to be smaller than 6. 5 doesn't work. 4 goes into everything but 6. 3 doesn't work because it don't go into 8. So it's 2. That's got to be it because it goes into all of them. Now 24 has 3 copies of x and 2 copies of y. 6 has 2 copies of x, 3 copies of y. 8 has 1 copy of x, 2 copies of y, and 12 has 1 copy of x and 1 copy of y. Remember, our greatest is actually our smallest, so they have 1 x in common and 1 copy of y in common. So my GCF is 2xy. Okay? So my answer is going to be my GCF times what's left. And at this point, you could get rid of that one and that one. And to get what's left, you divide by 2xy. So what's left is going to be 24 divided by 2 is 12. X cubed divided by x to the first is x to the second. Y to the 2 minus 1 is y. So check. Nope. So, oh, that's squared. My bad. That one's right. See, this one doesn't have a square, so that one's wrong. This one's still in, so we got to go again. Positive 6 divided by 2 is positive 3. X squared divided by x is x. Y cubed divided by y is y squared. So my next term needs to be 3xy squared. It is there. It's not here. That one's out, and you're done. Okay, again, if you're trying to save time and do these as quick as, you don't always have to finish the problem to get your answer. And in a time situation, sometimes when it's down to the wire, you want to get your answers as quick as possible. But to finish it, negative 8 divided by 2 would be negative 4. X divided by x is no x. Y2 divided by y1 is y1. Positive 12 divided by 2 is positive 6. The x's cancel, the y's cancel, and I am done. Okay? So, good job. I hope you did well on that subtest. And I will see you next time.